a value which is a cousin to academic honesty. I guess academic integrity is another term for academic honesty, but integrity has a deeper meaning attached to it. It's a different concept, a similar concept to honesty. It simply means being true to what you believe is true, to remaining true, and so it explains also the value of truthfulness to one's own thought, to one's own thinking, and to one's own ideas. That one learns to appreciate his or her own ideas independent of the things that he learns from others, probably from what he or she reads, from what he or she hears from others, and he or she tries to integrate all these things using his own understanding and putting another interpretation to it. That is academic integrity. Although we cannot discount the fact that we can borrow others' ideas, and experts in the field in the academe will always remind us that when we borrow ideas, we have to properly cite, and so we have been taught of how to cite properly, how to write, or how to do proper citations, such as what the American Psychological Association has been doing for many years now. That when you present certain ideas, you make sure that you are going to cite who owns it. You have to be very careful, otherwise you will be charged of academic dishonesty, and you will be punished, you will be penalized. It is punishable by law. It is not simply a mistake of a person, but it is an academic disgrace to one's profession. Like me, for example, I am a teacher. I ought to be true to my task, and that is to protect the dignity of the profession. Just yesterday, I used the word academic integrity by emphasizing that teachers ought to develop their own thoughts, or again, if one wishes to borrow others' ideas, you have to make sure that proper citation is being used. And finally, related to this academic integrity is the recognition of what we call epistemic function or obligation. By epistemic obligation, we recognize the fact that we are obliged, or we are duty-bound to protect the dignity of the academe. Those who have produced original ideas will remain to be the original authors of the ideas. And to the secondary authors, like me, for example, I will be using others' ideas from what I have heard, from what I have read. I have to properly cite the original author of this is for example, Dewey or Socrates or Plato. In that sense, I am not committing any violation or mistake, and I will never be charged of plagiarism. That is academic integrity. We should recognize the fact, again, that academic integrity, by the fact that the concept is existing and is widely used by most of the professionals in the field, we should appreciate the value of academic integrity, especially those who are in the academe, especially those who are in my field as well, or to those who will venture in the same field or in the similar field. The values, how do we embrace the value of academic integrity? First, you have to appreciate the fact that there is this concept, academic integrity, that it is existing, that it is true, Second is, do not think low of yourself, that you are capable of producing your original ideas. Do not be confined with, or do not limit yourself to borrowing ideas from others. You can create your own ideas. Appreciate the power of your own thinking, appreciate the power of your own thoughts, and put all those thoughts, creatively put all your thoughts and claim it to be yours. Although there is this debate about there is no such thing as original, but I refute the idea that there is no such thing as original. I always see people to be unique on their own way, and so you, especially you, at the graduate level, you are capable of producing your own ideas. Make it real, make it possible, and I just would like to warn you that, again, you have this responsibility, the obligation, the epistemic obligation to protect the dignity of your profession. And so, two things: either you produce your own thoughts, be original, be unique, or when you want to borrow others' ideas, make sure that you do proper citation. Otherwise, you will be charged of plagiarism. You will be penalized, or you will be punished. Good luck in your studies.
Academic integrity and the respect for knowledge, truth, and ethical practices are expected to be inherent in every academic institution. Academic integrity principles should manifest not only in research, but also in teaching and in learning. Given this, academic institutions take a more active role in propagating the importance of academic integrity, as well as its impact not only to the reputation of the university, but also in having quality research works in the future. Academic dishonesty, which includes plagiarism, can only be minimized if certain policies and mechanisms are in place. As a student of the University of Newcastle, I am expected to uphold the university's 5 values of academic integrity, which includes honesty, fairness, trust, responsibility, and respect. These principles are clearly presented in the university student academic integrity policy that is available in the university website, which outlines the responsibilities of all staff and students in fulfilling the university's commitment in, and I quote, being truthful, sincere, and direct in intentions and actions, acting lawfully and with academic integrity. Technically, this policy aims to reinforce the university's adherence to honesty and integrity, which applies to all forms of study, including undergraduate, postgraduate students, and high-degree candidates. As part of the university's initiative to help reduce plagiarism and academic fraud, and to uphold academic integrity, all new students are required to complete an academic integrity module, which is a 30-minute online test completed in the university website. Every student should manage to get a 100% mark in this module to enable them to enroll in courses, view exam results, grades and transcripts, or graduate. Moreover, one exceptional mechanism of the university which I personally like the most is the Turnitin application, which checks for plagiarism when submitting assessments. All students are required to submit their final paper in this portal to ensure that they have not committed any fraud. And as part of the policy, if a student committed any academic misconduct, necessary investigation process will be made and appropriate sanction will be given if found guilty of charge under the provisions of the University Student Conduct Rule. For instance, a student academic conduct officer can reprimand or warn the students at first. However, other penalties can also be given depending on the severity of the misconduct after careful investigation, such as to require a student to undergo training or counseling, have them retake the assessment, or award no marks for the assessment at all. Aside from the said penalties, Suspension, expulsion, and even revocation of a student's degree can also be applied as considered appropriate. What is good about the University of Newcastle is that they provide assistance to help students be aware of specific academic integrity guidelines such as having University Library Info Skills, which provides information literacy and academic integrity tutorial. And aside from that, all staff, especially those who are in the library, are well equipped to assist students having problems in doing academic research. So basically, universities are expected to be the proponent of the importance of academic integrity. But there is also an expectation from us students to be responsible enough not to commit academic fraud, as these contravene academic values, compromise the quality of research, and lessen the quality of learning. Thus, universities and students have a shared responsibility in this endeavor to ensure quality education. To end this, as students of today benefit from quality peer-reviewed journals of previous researchers and writers, it is only fair and just for students to abide by the principles of academic integrity in order to produce and maintain a pool of quality papers which can contribute to a wider range of reference that will guide future students to have well-informed judgment based on proven facts. So in a way, it is some sort of paying it forward.
For me, academic integrity is the identity of a research. Why is it so? It is because whenever you're doing such research, it is very important to acknowledge everyone who will be part of your research, because obviously their ideas would be the tantamount of what your research will be at the end of the day. That is why this identity is very important, because once you lose the academic integrity, the validity, the reliability, and even the credibility of your research will be gone as well. It is because as well that because of academic integrity, we can make ourselves be part of the research field with acknowledging and giving citations to those people who really contribute to your ideas, because as what Bob Ong had said, nothing is original in this world. And therefore, if we are living in this world wherein there is nothing original at all, then such academic integrity would uplift the value of the research at the end of the day. And this is why we should practice such identity, and we should develop such identity in creating our research, because again, academic integrity is what would make your research at the end valid, credible, and reliable, because this is the soul of the identity of your research, and at the same time of the ideas of those people who would contribute to your research. For me, academic dishonesty is like stealing. And obviously, I always told my students that stealing is bad for research, because academic dishonesty actually makes you steal the ideas. Yes, there is no such contentious effect, but at the end, this is not your idea. And therefore, such academic dishonesty makes it equivalent to plagiarism at the end. And that is why, if you're going to plagiarize such things, your validity as a researcher, and at the same time, your integrity towards what you're doing would be diminished. And this is why I always tell my students not to do such academic dishonesty. Whenever they are doing movie reviews, whenever they are doing essays in computers or searching for information, I always told them that they should cite the sources, because in the end, these sources would really make their claims valid and reliable, and at the same time authentic, because obviously this came from primary sources or secondary sources that would help them generalize the ideas of their research. And also, academic dishonesty is not a thing that we need to practice, especially it violates your integrity, and at the same time, those people who accumulated those ideas, they have spent so many years just to develop that idea, a theory or whatsoever, and then at the end, you will just steal it. That's actually quite unethical. And this is why in research, we have such ethical considerations, ethical standards, whenever we're doing such academic integrity versus academic dishonesty, because in the end, we still have the validity to create our own ideas, but again, these ideas would not be generated if there are no contributing factors to regenerate these ideas. And academic dishonesty, once again, should not be practiced because, as what I have told again my students, essays are like your emotions, your tools in writing, in creating your experiences. But these essays would have influences from other people. And these people would make you write your essay. Same with research. If you're going to look for questions, and if you're going to search for the answers, then therefore there will be people who would help you a lot in creating and justifying the answers you wanted at the end. And thus, academic dishonesty is again not a thing that we should practice because it is stealing the ideas of other people. During 2000, if I can still remember, 2016, I was the first educational student who were sent here in DYCI, who were sent in Thailand to present my research. And since it is such an uplifting emotion to have such privilege in presenting my research as an undergraduate versus those people who have masters and doctorate, I feel like I should do my best. And this is why academic integrity came into the picture. I know for myself that my research would not be effective if not for those people who I have not yet met or who I have not yet known at the end. But still, because of their ideas, I was able to create a research that is worthy of presenting to other people. And that's why, through my presentation in Thailand, my PowerPoint always cite their names, always cite their sources, always reiterating that this idea is just from another person that I've used so that I can manifest and elaborate my research at the end. Because again, these people had really helped me. And because of this privilege, actually, I was also sent by the school to present fast forward 2 years now to Vietnam. And through this again, because of my research and my intake for academic integrity, of citing the sources, of making these people know that these sources come from other people and making them realize how important academic integrity is, I was able to be part of the international reviewer for the ICLCE. And that is actually a privilege again for me to be part of such research because obviously we value integrity and we just don't create research, we just don't value how to make a research because in the end, we still value these people who generated the ideas and these people who would make your research be effective in the end of the day. Because again, we should practice not just academic integrity per se, but again, the integrity of yourself in doing such academic field of your work. And that's why this academic integrity is very important in presenting because again, this is a collaborative effort of all those people who have helped you, even if you don't know them or if you know them, in creating a wonderful research. And that's why, again, academic integrity is very important in one's life as a researcher. It's a funny thing to say that whenever I have my research class, the first thing that I would tell my students are two things. First is that whenever they would copy and paste a material from the internet, they should cite it. Secondly, if they would be passing this paper, make sure that the idea is original. Because in the end, we know for a fact that students are actually prone to this from this copy and paste syndrome that they can get from the internet because internet has a lot of information now that students have this inclination of doing the easy task, and that is to copy without reading and then just paste it and pass it to their teachers. But not for me, because this is why I always read my students' work, and this is why as well, these students are actually doing their best not to copy and paste. Now, my suggestion and my tip for the students who wanted to practice academic integrity and to avoid academic dishonesty is to always look for such citation. I always have this parallelism wherein if you're going to write a song and then someone steals your song, what would you feel? That is academic integrity in itself. That we cannot just steal other person's work because in the end, this is not yours. This is not an original idea of yours. And that is why these students, I would always tell them to cite them. Okay, that's the first tip. Second tip, I always tell them that I am running the application, I'm running the researches in an app wherein plagiarism checking is done. And this is actually a good way in controlling the mood of the students to not practice academic dishonesty. Because they would always opt to look for such citations because in the end, they have known that we are running the researches in a plagiarism checker. That is a software wherein, again, they will be counting if there would be any academic dishonesty had done by the students. That's the second tip. And lastly, I would tell to them that if you're going to practice academic integrity, always put yourself into the perspective of these people who have worked so hard just to have or just to formulate the ideas that they have contributed in our society. And if you wanted to leave that kind of legacy in your research, then might as well practice academic integrity because in the end, another generation would look upon your research and this generation would be then citing your sources. But it would be unfortunate or it would be saddening if these sources you have come from would not be cited at the end of the day because again, we would just be practicing a domino effect of copying and pasting. But if you're going to cite the sources, practice academic integrity, and your research will be published, then another generation would look upon your research, then therefore, you would be practicing academic integrity. And you would also make the students who would be reading your research to practice academic integrity as well. Because that is a very good domino effect that we should be accomplishing in the research field.
Okay, academic integrity for me is yung quality na ikaw bilang isang learner or isang knowledge processor, okay, researcher, ang nangyayari sa'yo is hindi ka nagiging manloloko in a sense na kapag kasi sinabi kasi natin processing of knowledge, may kanya-kanya yan eh. Sabihin mo natin, may data ka na naalam or information na nalaman. Minsan, nagbabago siya ng interpretation based on the person itself. Yung person kasi may nakikita siya na madalas hindi nakikita ng iba. So, ang nangyayari kapag meron tayong academic integrity, we acknowledge na hey, this information, ito, pinrocess ko ni ganito. And this information naman, this is processed by someone else. So from there, ang nangyayari, the information, what happens to the information is, it's being distributed entirely by human. So the human becomes the medium of information. And from there, the information becomes unique in a way, saan to kailangan gamitin. So, itong tao to, nakita niya na itong information, practically pala, dito ito yung use niya. Let's say, the children are having so much incest incidents sa isang community. So kapag ikaw ay isang psychologist, you might process that in a different way. For students to have academic integrity, make sure may habit sila like whenever they visit websites, kailangan as they open it, na okay na, alam na nila, kinakopy na nila sa isang note, yung author, yung URL, kailangan alam din nila kailan nila ito pinuksan. Actually, nagiging madali kapag may gano'n ka ng habit. Kasi alam mo na everything that you see in the website is not dependent na, ay, ito, natagpuan ko to eh. No, it's not you firsthand na nakalam nun. So, kailangan i-acknowledge mo na lahat ng nakikita mo, lahat ng nasa libro is, it's not firsthand na ginagawa mo. Ginawa na siya ng iba, pinrocess na siya ng iba, and then from there, you would have this kind of respect to other authors, to other researchers. Ayun, so, just make it a habit. So, when it comes to academic dishonesty, paano ba natin siya mababawasan? So, basically, if you're the one in position, so may influence ka na me. For example, I'm an educator, so may influence na ako sa mga bagay, like how should the setup of the classroom go? Or how should the teachers or other people, how could we exchange ideas of how should a classroom go? So, minamanage namin yun. So, basically, when it comes to academic dishonesty, mababawasan mo yan paunti-unti when you try to put the students in a situation kung saan hindi na kaya nila maging dishonest. For example, there is an effect when you say, at least, nilagay mo yung bag sa harap during exam. So, ganun kaunting changes, nagkakaroon na pala ng effect sa mismong honesty ng bata. Mag-remind ka lang na honesty is the best policy before they take an exam. Or maybe the research then, of course, nagkakaroon yun ng effect to their honesty. In that way, at least, marireduce mo. Just put them in a situation kung saan mahihirapan silang maging dishonest.